of this year's tournament. Just seems like all anybody talks about is Duke, 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 Duke. So what are we going to do for the A block? We're bringing on a Dookie. Welcome to the show. Our guy, Jay Williams, joining us. The homie. Thank you so much. The Dukification of the tournament is just too much. So just to not over-Dukify everything, what we want to do is we want to talk about some of the star players that are not just going to be playing in this year's tournament, but also one day in the NBA. So it is now time for potential franchise-changing prospects not named Zion, RJ, or Cam. We know enough about those three players and their pro potential, so we want to ask you, Mr. Williams, about some of the other players that aren't getting that much shine. But we start with someone who's getting so much shine. I would say second to Zion, one of the most hyped players in college basketball, exploded on the scene this year, Ja Morant. What do you see from Ja in college and translating to the pros?
42-inch vertical. His hands are about 2 times the size of mine. His athleticism, some people have compared to Vince Carter-like. He's around 6'2", 6'3", and he has elite passing ability. Look, he can obviously score 40 to 50 points a night, and he's dynamic in ball screens. You guys both know this. The league is all about ball screens, right? So his ability to come off each and every ball screen and make a play, getting low to the ground, and then finish over the top of people. But he has an array of moves at the rim. He can sidestep you. He can, backstep you. He can pick his spots. His vision is off the charts. That's what makes him so different, man. He's going to be the second pick in the draft, hands down.
A terrific prospect. I agree with Jay Will. He reminds me a little bit of Dame Dollar.
Ooh.
A guy that can get me points, a guy that can get me assists. I've seen that guy be in the three-point contest as well as the dunk contest. Comes from a small school also.
I just love the fact that Jay Will just said he was going to be the second pick in the draft, hands down. That's interesting to me. I mean, there's a lot of other players out there, and we're going to get to one who I said everyone's going to play in the tournament, but this gentleman will not. This was a top 5 prospect, so hyped, but guess what? Got injured, so no one's been talking about him. This is obviously son of Manute Bol, who is injured but will be playing next year in the NBA. What do you see his future in the league?
I like it, man. He's a bigger guard, even though has the body of a power forward. And that versatility in the league is what you need, right? You've seen a lot of guys that be able to have that length, that height, that can shoot the ball from the outside, but also has traditional low post moves. I think he's a guy that can guard positions 1 through 5 because of his length and because of his versatility and lateral quickness on the perimeter.
Reminds me some of Thon Maker. I actually played against Manute Bol when I was in the league. How about that? Manute
Bol's was stretch 5. He was over 7 feet.
No doubt.
And he was hitting threes. So this next player, Jay Will, does something that it's kind of rare in today's game. That's play actual defense. DeAndre Hunter from Virginia, defensive player. How do you think he will translate to the NBA?
I'm curious about DeAndre Hunter. I mean, his game is he can knock down the mid-range jump shot. He can also shoot the 3. He can guard positions 1 through 5, and he actually has the strength up top. Like, he's stronger than a ball, right? His ability to make plays, make the right play. Now, this is where I always get a little bit confused, though, because does he have that next level in him? When you see players come out of UVA, guys like Joe Harris, who obviously plays for the Brooklyn Nets, guys like Malcolm Brogdon, they seem like they're situational, system-like players. But I wonder if he can take that next step and be that bona fide volume scorer that I think he has the ability to do. I just don't know if he's been breaded from his foundation to do that.
And the key to unlock his game is to shoot the NBA 3. He's shooting 47% in college. If he's able to do that, that's going to put him in a position to play quality minutes.
I just like that he plays defense. Now, some people on the East Coast that go to sleep early because they have a lot of children like myself might not be so familiar with this next player, Rui Hachimura.
Yo, Jacoby, he might be the one. He really might be the one. He has a 41-inch vertical. He is tall. He is lean. He's athletic. He's a point forward. He can put the ball down on the ground. He can shoot the ball, but he kind of plays a game similar to Giannis on the collegiate level. I'm not saying he has those go-go gadget arms where he just finishes through you, but he can bully his way to the basket, but he also has skill set. He has great footwork. He can finish around the rim, and he can shoot the ball from the outside.
I got one for you. Really boxy shoulders, almost looks really mechanical. Long arms, big hands, locks down on defense. Reminds me a lot of Kawhi Leonard for what I see from this guy.
Ooh.
In particular, when he's playing against a team like Duke, when you can play him at multiple positions and put him in position to lock down and still get you offense on the other side.
Now, this next player, you always know where he is on the floor, not just because he's a threat and he's explosive and he's a scorer, but because of his hair. Kobe White from North Carolina.
Just let your soul glow, man. That's what this kid does all day, every day.
Soul glow!
Look, Jay Rose, yo, he is, like, he might be a top 3, top 4 pick. And the more you see him play on the collegiate level, he's legit 6'5". 210 pounds. Kind of reminds me a little bit old school of Darren Williams, right? But like, he is dynamic with his dribble. Like those side steps that you see James Harden do, he does that on the collegiate level. Now, granted, I think at playing the PG position, he needs to learn how to control the game. But as far as a scoring guard, he has that bigger frame. He can get anywhere on the court when he wants.
I feel like though Carolina has had a terrific season and they're a national program that gets a lot of acclaim, as a freshman, I think his productivity has gotten overlooked and underwhelmed by a lot of casual fans. I hope he has a big NCAA tournament to validate what you just said, Jay, because I agree with you as it relates to his prospects.
Now, this next player is probably my favorite player in college basketball, and that is simply because of his first name is also the same as one of my favorite rappers. Nasir Little. Tell us about him.
You know, there's been so much hype about Nas coming out of high school, and then he goes to North Carolina, and Roy hasn't really seen him fit into the system yet as much. I mean, you've seen him evolve throughout his course at UNC, but his playing time has been somewhat limited. And I've heard scouts say, well, you know, he has to figure out the system. Is there something wrong? There is nothing wrong with Nasir Little. Like, he is 6'8". He won at the competition of Garden Zion in that game when they first played. But I think it got a little bit of the best of him, the hype. But as far as the athletic ability, as far as the mid-range shooting, as far as, I mean, he can always improve his three-point shot. But he is a versatile wing. He can defend anybody. And he has that dog in him, J. Rose. Like, he wants to defend the best player. He's that guy, almost like a Stanley Johnson type, where you can say, go get him for 45 minutes a night and just dog him out. And he'll take on that personal challenge.
And when you look at his numbers, they're underwhelming. For a guy that's probably going to go in the top 5, not averaging 10 points. Usually what that means is he went to a school that already had depth. A lot of times he probably initially basically chose the wrong school. But then you find your niche as the season progresses. He's another guy that can have a breakout NCAA tournament.
Well, finally, tell us a little bit about Jarrett Culver from Texas Tech.
Yo, this dude is continuing to blow people away, man. I think he has like a 7'2" wingspan, so he's extremely long. And he comes from a system where they defend all the time. So his ability to defend is above par. It's incredible. But also his game, like, he can knock down shots. He's doing things off the dribble. He's not as showy as this player I'm about to say, but he kind of moves like him, J. Rose. We both played with him a little bit. If you watch the way Jamal Crawford just moved, how silky he was, that's how Jarrett Culver moves on the floor. He's not doing those dynamic moves with the ball like JC, but he moves like him on the floor, and he'll end up with, 20, 25 points, and you'll be like, I don't even know where that came from. So he's efficient in his scoring.
He has good size. And another player, when you look at the brackets, people feel like Texas Tech has the opportunity to upset a lot of teams. It's going to be because of his progress. Let's see if he can have a dominant NCAA tournament and make a name for himself and go higher in the draft because of it.
Well, Jay Will, thank you so much for joining us and making us all smarter about these future lottery picks in the league.
Appreciate you, Jay Will.
Will be playing in the tournament this week. You'll be back later on in this show. Next, Jalen Rose and I are going to go through some of our favorite tournament memories in the history of the March Madness tournament. We're keeping track of the number of brackets filled out by ESPN's Tournament Challenge. Look at those numbers come in millions on millions on millions on millions. You can join in right now. Fill out your brackets at ESPN.com/bracket or on the Tournament Challenge app. Huge doubleheader in the NBA on ESPN starting at 7. Eastern Conference matchup between the Celtics and the Sixers. And then another great game at night. We've got the Raptors taking on the Thunder at 9:30. Don't forget, ESPN's Tournament Challenge is back. The #1 bracket game. Head to ESPN.com/bracket to make your picks. The brackets are open right now. And every morning, get up with the Get Up crew. Ooh, Wednesday morning, starting at 8:30 a.m. Little extra sleep for Jalen Rose and the Get Up crew. Don't forget to turn into that as they turn their eyes towards the tournament. Welcome back to the Tournament Challenge Marathon. I'm David Jacoby. He is Jalen Rose. We are Jalen and Jacoby coming to you live from Pier 17 in the Seaport, brought to you by Heineken. Jalen, the March Madness experience is something that you got to experience as a player. I got to experience as a fan, but you also have some memories as a fan. So we're going to go back and relive the most memorable madness. So first I want to start with you. Before you suited up in the maize and blue, what are two of your biggest memories from March Madness?
One of them had to be when Michigan faced Illinois, and they were stacked. I looked up to both of these teams because I liked so many players on both sides. They had Kendall Gill, Kenny Battle, Marcus Liberty, who I cut V's in my hair just like his, and Nick Anderson. And obviously we had our fearless leader, Steve Fisher, who went on to coach me. Glenn Rice, Sean Higgins, Terry Mills, Lloyd Vaught. Like both of those teams were just stacked. And Illinois had beat Michigan twice in the regular season.
So your second memory, not as a player, but as a fan, is what?
These two teams were stacked as well. The UNLV running Rebels,
yes,
led by Jerry Tarkanian. You see Greg Anthony right there at point guard. Anderson Hunt, the Final Four MVP, Detroit Southwestern's own. Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Butler up front. I used to idolize that team so much that I had a fake gold tooth that I put in my mouth.
A fake gold tooth?
Had to represent LJ.
What's a fake gold tooth like?
Well, you go to a spot and you just clip it on there.
So you sure you
wanted? It wasn't real gold.
You sure you wanted to draw attention to your teeth at that age, Jalen Rose?
I did. They were so bad anyway.
There's a lot of space in between them to put that fake gold tooth in.
I had that exact same haircut. And that guy right there, the Final Four MVP, Detroit Southwestern's own, representing Southwest, HB, homeboy. I was watching the UNLV running Rebels in his basement.
Wow.
Beating the Duke Blue Devils.
They were kind of the Fab Five before the Fab Five a little bit. Now, I never played in the tournament, but I watched every single one my whole entire life. So I've got two very impactful teams and memories for me. The first one, a little sad, it was born out of tragedy. Loyola Marymount's Hank Gathers collapsed during a game and eventually passed away, but the team continued, and not only did they continue, they made a march in the tournament powered by Bo Kimble. And when Bo Kimble went to the free throw line, he shot with his left hand in the tournament. You could tell that was his offhand. He shot it with his left hand in the tournament as an homage to his brother and former teammate, Hank Gathers. And they went on a run that was unlike any other, powered by the emotion and Bo Kimble's play. I will never, ever, ever forget these moments in the NCAA tournament.
They beat the brakes off of my Michigan Wolverines during that same run.
That was one of my biggest memories, but the one that impacted me in my hometown of Amherst, Massachusetts the most.
Shout out to Ramil Robinson, too.
Where a gentleman by the name of John Calipari came to town in Amherst, Massachusetts and took over the University of Massachusetts program. We used to have this little tiny gym. There's basically a high school gym called The Cage. Then the Mullins Center opened. And Lou Rowe was the man who changed my hometown forever. Lou Rowe got it done. He was dunking all over everybody. He and Mike Williams powered a UMass team into the tournament and gave my hometown an experience that we had never had before.
This is between us. Nobody else is listening. This isn't on TV. What kind of cars were they driving?
Oh, no, they didn't have cars. They were student athletes. They couldn't afford cars. That would never happen. I mean, we would never just like see some of the UMass players driving around town in some expensive vehicles. I don't know what you're talking about. That was never something that happened ever in the great program of University of Massachusetts. Their old gym was so small. I used to stand on the stanchion with no ticket. You could just go, walk in the door, and stand on the stanchion. Like, that's how small the program was before Calipari got there.
And also, shout to University of Massachusetts for actually honoring that team and putting their banners back up, even though they had some issues with the NCAA.
Why do you bring that up, Mr. Rose?
Because Michigan is the only team that I know of that has taken down a team's banners and has not put them back up.
You know what's better than banners? Statues. Let's get a Fab Five statue. Now, you were part of the Fab Five, so you told us your favorite memories from the tournament as a fan, but what are some of your favorite memories as a player in the Fab Five?
Playing against Kentucky in the Final Four comes to mind. Rick Pitino was their head coach.
Look at you.
Look at the silent protest with the plain blue shirts. Jamal Mashburn, who was a beast in college and in the league.
Yep.
You see Macy Edward, Christopher Webber right there. Tony Delk was on their squad. They were really deep, and they were beating teams by 30 throughout the tournament. So that is one that really stands out for me.
So they were beating teams by 30. Did they beat you guys in this game that you're talking about?
No, we actually went on to win that game.
Oh!
And this was right after, like, it was so controversial because, like, not only were they blowing teams out, but for those that understand the style of play that Pitino employed, he liked to press the entire game or run and jump. And so people were trying to figure how we were going to handle that press. We had so many guys that could dribble, pass, and shoot. We found a way to get it done.
Okay. I thought you were going to say that we just passed it to me and then I waved everybody away and then I just took the ball off the court.
Wasn't like that against that press.
Okay. What about your second memory as a player from March Madness tournaments?
I wanted to say playing against Temple because I think we played them twice in the tournament back-to-back years. And I really believe had we not beaten them, they not only would have made to the Final Four, probably would have won it all. But I have to acknowledge beating our rival, Ohio State.
They had a good team then.
Because they had beaten us twice already in that season. And that bumpy-faced, bald-headed,
your skin is not that bad. That's in your head.
Took it personal. And once we got a chance to play Jimmy Jackson, Big Bro, and Lawrence Funderburg, and Chris
I remember this dance forever.
It became legendary, our celebration, because it was something that a lot of people felt like we would not be able to accomplish. So beating Kentucky and beating Ohio State were almost games that served as championship games, even though they didn't take place on the final Monday.
I think that a lot of people will remember the Fab Five as a national championship winning team. Like, I think a lot of people will just be like, oh, yeah, the Fab Five. Like, what, did they win 2? Did they win 1? But I think that it's just sort of over time you forget that you guys did fall short twice in a row.
I disagree with you. They're going to remember the Fab Five as people that were bigger than basketball.
Okay. Well, good. Winning winners off the court.
Winning the game of life.
And they're going to remember the Fab Five because one day when you walk on that campus in Ann Arbor, right outside of the arena where they play basketball, there will be a life-size statue of 5 men standing side by side as brothers. And right underneath it, there'll be a plaque. It says, the greatest class of college basketball players in the history of the sport.
And as I get on my Wayans brothers, we're happy, and we're singing, and we're colored. I hope it happens while we're alive.
That's what I'm saying. I hope it happens before you're like wheelchair. Your knees are already bad. You can barely jog.
I just hope it doesn't have to take a tragedy for it to take place.
I think the hairline needs to still be in place when you get this when you get this statue.
I'm gonna borrow Jada Kiss hairline and waves for my bust.
Well, those are our memories from being fans of the tournament, but 2 fans of the show actually wanted to share some of their memories that might sound familiar as well.
The Fab Five, this period, that whole run, black socks, bald head, Jalen at the 1.
The Fab Five, they was setting the culture straight and having fun and winning games at the same time.
That's love.
That's right. Big shout to 2 Chainz.
And those shout outs are personal because both of those guys are from Atlanta. And our freshman and sophomore runs, we started in Atlanta.
Well, you were a young freshman, you were 18 years old, and I just want to know what advice would you now give advice to that young man? And we'll find out right after this when Jalen Rose takes us.
Ask somebody for more money to go to Magic City.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but we'll rock with it. Jalen Rose takes us behind the curtain after this. Jalen and Jacoby, Jalen Rose, it is time. We're going to take you behind the curtain. Jalen Rose, you played the NCAA tournament 3 times. You are probably most famous for some of those moments that happened right there in the tournament. So you're going to take us behind the curtain of what the tournament experience is really like. First, What is the biggest adjustment that you make as an athlete when you go from regular season to conference tournament to the big NCAA tournament?
Sense of urgency. The best team doesn't always win, and it's one game elimination, which means if you show up and you're not at your best, you could lose to a team that in theory you're better than. I've seen this happen to some of my favorite teams, Phi Slamma Jamma, the Georgetown teams, UNLV. And so that's the biggest difference. During the regular season, during conference, you have conference tournament. But once the tournament comes, one shot, one kill.
Now, this is something that's very unique to your experience and also unique to this particular tournament that's happening right now. You played with a consensus #1 prospect, Chris Webber. The people at Duke are also playing with what is considered to be the consensus #1 pick prospect, Zion Williamson. What is it like to play with someone like that on your team?
And like the players at Duke who play with R.J. Barrett, who's going to go in top 5, Juwan Howard went in the top 5 as well. It's knowing that he's going to leave after this year, so we got to make it happen while we have him, first and foremost, and enjoy his greatness and enjoy our camaraderie as the Fab Five, because in theory, when he left, we clearly not the Fab Five anymore.
Yep.
But also making sure that you gave him his opportunities to dominate, regardless of the competition. And like Zion, when he did special things, you were just in awe like everyone else, like a 360 during the game.
Okay. So when you guys were freshmen, the Fab Five freshmen, we all remember this, taking the nation by storm. What was your seed in the tournament that freshman year?
I think we were a 6 or 7 seed.
Yeah, like a 6 or a 7 seed. You guys weren't exactly the favorites, but that second year, after you had already swept the nation and gone deep into the tournament, you know, that's when you were kind of a favorite to win the games. Is it harder to be favorite or underdog in the NCAA tournament?
They're both equal in a lot of ways, and I know people don't really realize that, but they are. Because, for example, as freshmen, we weren't the favorite. We were an underdog, but it was still tough because that means you have to go a harder journey because the other teams are better than you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay? So, like, for example, playing against Duke and Christian Laettner and Grant Hill and Bobby Hurley. These are one of the all-time great teams that just beat a squad in UNLV the year prior that I idolized.
Another all-time great team.
Okay. Then as the favorite, everybody's gunning for you.
Especially when you're the Fab Five.
No question about it. And so I think both journeys are equally tough, but I definitely think being the underdog is probably the hardest.
Now, Jalen, it's just me and you here, okay? These microphones, I turned them off. When you're playing in the NCAA tournament, do you still find time to champagne and campaign?
Of course.
You're a college student. You don't play every day, right?
That comes with the journey, and I don't want to incriminate anyone else in any way, shape, or form.
I told you, I turned the microphones off.
But, like, yes, you're still a college student. And guess what college students do? Enjoy themselves.
They party. You're still 20 years old.
And you know what else you're not doing during the NCAA tournament?
Studying?
Well, you're studying because the tutors are there, but you're not going to class. Okay, so
you're staying in hotels, you're traveling.
That already breeds the lifestyle. Think about it, you're staying at a hotel. Okay, so that already breeds that lifestyle. The problem was funds were limited.
Funds are limited in college.
Funds are limited.
But fun was not limited, I can imagine, with the Fab Five. Okay, now this is something else that I know is extremely important to you. You get your hair cut like twice a day, okay? How do you keep a fresh cut when you're away from your barber during the NCAA tournament?
Initially, you don't, because that's not a luxury that you can take with you just to Spokane, Washington when you're playing or wherever you might end up.
Is this why you guys had bald heads?
No, that's one of the reasons. And that's why also I was happy that you got a chance to go different places like Atlanta. For a guy like Juwan Howard, who you think I keep a cut now, he was like this 25 years ago, okay? So I was happy for a guy like that where he could keep a cut. But everybody else, we just rock baldies. When you look back at the footage, notice Juwan ain't never go bald.
I did notice that until you brought it up. I really appreciate you taking us behind the curtain on your tournament experience and just telling us what it's really like to be an elite athlete in the tournament. What's the best part of the tournament experience?
The thrill of victory. The amount of support that you get from alums. Like Michigan has one of the best fan bases in all of sports. okay, and they travel. The other great thing about it is playing against different teams. Like when you're in a conference, you get a chance to play against Ohio State twice, Michigan State twice. Now they have conference tourneys. Like Duke and UNC have already played 3 times, and the NCAA tournament hasn't started.
Yep.
They may have a 4th chance to play one another. So I always like to play against different competition from different conferences that you didn't normally get a chance to compete against.
What about the camaraderie, the experience traveling together, winning games together, being on the road?
See, we were unique because we didn't necessarily need to build camaraderie because we were the Fab Five. Everybody know that we had the best camaraderie probably of any team ever. So us being on the road just got us out of our familiarity, out of familiar zones like the dorm room. You know, so we're on the road. And then when you're on the road, you realize people know who we are. You know, I'm kind of famous off campus.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So now I'm traveling and seeing people with Huaraches on.
Black socks.
I
was wearing black socks.
And longer shorts and like buying into our movement. And rappers knowing who I was, that I idolized and stuff like that. So meeting Muhammad Ali, though, was the #1 moment. Anytime you get a chance to meet the greatest like we did at our hotel in Atlanta, he's the one that told us to go out and shock the world. Which is why when we went to the Final Four, you see Jawan famously in the back saying, "We gonna shock the world." Muhammad Ali was the springboard to that.
What about the flip side? Like, what's the downside of being in the tournament? What's the worst part?
The worst part is not winning at all.
You know, because there's so many teams in it, but only one team leaves happy.
I went 3 times and never won at all. So coaches get 25, Jim Boeheim get 25 years to win a championship. And Tom Izzo. Like players, you only get a couple of years.
The coaches are going to get to the top of the mountain eventually.
Right.
If you're doing the right things. But you only got 3 years. What's your biggest regret from this whole experience?
Not winning at all. Period. Not winning at all. I think we lost to a better team as freshmen in Duke.
Yep.
We were a better team than Carolina. I give them all props. Donald Williams shot us down. They had Lynch.
They won the game.
They had Eric Montrose, no shade,
and everybody looks at the timeout. It was like, that's just one play. There's 100 possessions in the game.
And I played my worst game of the season there.
But you still think you would have made the shot because you were open?
Of course. I was clutch. And then the other thing was my junior year, playing against Arkansas, we got bamboozled. People see Barack Obama at a Duke game right now and think that's new. Bill Clinton was at our game while he was president. But the thing was, he went to Arkansas. And while they were out there warming up, we was in the locker room meeting the president. And I'll never forget, we got on the court, and it was like 9 minutes before the game.
Oh, I like this. Oh, I like this story.
Yeah, usually we got out there, it was like 20 minutes.
So you think that Bill Clinton went to your locker room to delay you from taking the court, to rob you of valuable warm-up time, and that is why you lost to Arkansas? I love this conspiracy theory. Bill Clinton's in on it. That's why they should have impeached him.
Again, anybody that's ever beaten me, I'm a gracious loser. I want to give props to Nolan Richardson and 40 Minutes of Hell, Scotty Thurman, Corliss Williamson. I'm giving them props. Each team that beat us in college went on to win the championship. Giving them props. I don't have to act like that didn't happen because it did happen. That's an absolute fact.
You think Bill Clinton did it intentionally,
I don't think it was necessarily intentional, but the president moves with an army. So I'm pretty sure the goal was to
could have said.
Or I'm pretty sure the goal was to probably get down there a little bit earlier. But probably it was like 5 or 10 people with him. You got to have security restraints and all of that stuff. So it just ended up happening that way.
I love it. And finally, if Jalen right now, the mature, responsible, founder of a school, husband, father, friend, if this Jalen could talk to 18, 19-year-old Jalen and give him some advice, what would you tell your young self?
Go to the dermatologist. Don't use that same soap on your face that you use on your body. Don't do that. That liquid soap, don't put that on your face.
That's all you got.
That's facts on facts on facts. The other thing is, go to the dentist. Having a smile that people can't tease me about versus the first 20 years of my life.
Trademark the Fab Five, trademark black socks, something like that. Stand up to Nike, things like that. Nope, none of that. Just get your skin right, get your teeth right.
Yeah, I had to make it funny.
You're my favorite. Thank you so much for watching, taking us behind the curtain on the tournament experience. More brackets, more brackets, more brackets. We're keeping track of all the brackets that are being filled out with ESPN's Tournament Challenge. Right now, you can join us. Go to ESPN.com/bracket or fill out your bracket on the Tournament Challenge app.
Is it true cricket has iPhone XR?
With the amazing liquid.
Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. We are joined by Jay Williams, who you will be seeing all day long on the Tournament Challenge Marathon right here on ESPN. Jay Will, I know you watch the show every single day, so you are familiar with the segment, Keep It Moving.
Exactly.
Not every topic is worth discussing in the world of sports regarding to the tournament, so we have Keep It Moving if you want to discuss the topic.
Wait, Jacoby. Keep it moving after that infomercial, please. Please, let's not talk about that ever again.
Done. I like the infomercial. Jalen laughed out loud twice. Jalen laughed out loud twice. All right, the first topic, keep it moving or hit the brakes. Americans will bet $8.5 billion on the tournament. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. I don't like
keep it moving.
Nothing with the brackets, all that stuff. I don't really care about it. Keep it moving.
Duke, a team that you may be familiar with this year, they have extremely high expectations, and that might not be a good thing. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
I would say hit the brakes on this one. Look, I get worried about Zion Williamson getting in foul trouble. They don't have a kid named Marcus Bolden. They don't shoot the ball that well from the three-point line. Are they the best team in the country? Yes. But as we all know, Jay Rose and myself, the best teams don't always win. And when you don't have dudes who can't shoot, that could be a problem during the tournament.
I love that. They're also the biggest favorites to win the tournament since the 2015 Kentucky Wildcats. Remember that undefeated team that did not win the tournament?
That was John Wall and Boogie, right?
I think so. All right, next. The best one-on-one matchup of the entire tournament could be happening in the first round. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
I would say hit the brakes on this one for me.
All right, well, someone tells me that everybody knows what we're talking about. Of course, we're talking about Ja Morant and Marcus Howard going head-to-head. The very first game either team will play in the tournament. Tell us about those two players.
Well, Marcus Howard hurt his wrist during the Big East tournament, but he's dropped a 50-point game this year already. He's had multiple 40-point games during his career. He's a small guard, so I love him. He's around 5'9", 5'10", but can score with the best of them. Then obviously Ja Morant, I said it during the earlier segment, he's going with the second pick in the draft. Ja Morant will bust anybody's head wide open to the white meat. So I think watching that matchup, watch it happening nationally on TV, both teams will get way more recognition that they deserve throughout the course of the regular season. We just never talked about them.
I appreciated the profile that Howard did for national media to talk about some things that he juggles outside of the sport. And I also appreciated seeing Ja Rule on SportsCenter. Look at him with his chains on. That's what I'm talking about, young fella. I don't know if they cubic zirconian. I don't know if they're real diamonds. All I know is my guy living his best life.
He really is.
That is my man already.
Yeah, he has reclaimed the name Ja since the Fire Festival documentaries.
Oh, that's wrong.
Next, Kansas head coach Bill Self says he has no interest in coaching the Chicago Bulls. Keep it moving or hit the brakes, Jay Will.
Who does have interest in coaching the Chicago Bulls unless they give you a lot of money? With all respect to the franchise, I love. Keep it moving.
Hey, let's not disrespect bad Chicago Bulls teams because that's where you two met, okay?
That's true.
Next.
They made a great relationship. You're right.
Next, Richard Pitino's Minnesota team will face Louisville. Obviously, there's some Pitino ties with Louisville as well in the first round. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Whoever says that the NCAA doesn't have conspiracy within the committee room, they're wrong. I mean, keep it moving. We already know what that is.
We're going to keep moving on that. Good call. John Calipari did a television interview on Sunday, and it seemed like he did a little interior decorating first. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes for a second.
Let's just take a look
again, just so I can hear you correctly.
Let's just take a look at some of that interior decorating. It seems like he has one all-star jersey of one of his players on the wall, and the rest are just kind of like laid about around him, still in the cellophane. Jalen, soft move or boss move?
Go ahead, Jay Rose.
So this is a boss move, Jay. Here's what Coach Cal did. The Teflon gentleman that he is realizes that I might not have the championships that Coach K has.
He doesn't.
But let me tell you what I got. I got all-stars. I got guys that got billions of dollars worth of contracts. So instead of me having anything NCAA behind me, I'm going to have all things NBA. And by the way, a couple of those still had the plastic on them.
They did.
So he literally just did that for the interview. Coach Cal is a unique guy. That's why Jay picked his team to win the championship.
Coach K had the whole series called Earn Everything that was on ESPN+. And Cal's like, you know what? This is my moment when I'm going to shine. So I'm going to show why I'm the master of marketing, why I was the originator of the one and done. And I give Cal credit. Cal is always thinking outside the box about how to market himself and his program 24/7.
I love Coach Cal because I'm from Amherst, Massachusetts, and he put UMass on the map. Finally, this one's very close to me. I'm going to hit the brakes on this one myself. Vasectomies go up by 50% during this week so men can get a vasectomy and then take Thursday and Friday off. I'm in the market for a vasectomy. Should I get a vasectomy on this Wednesday of next year?
I mean, if you're at that point in your life, Jacoby, then do what you got to do. Just put the kids to sleep, man. Let it be over. Cut it off. Well, I don't want to say that. I take that back. You know what I mean?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You're ready.
I'm ready for it. I'm doing this show, the marathon show, live from the hospital bed next year. Mark my words.
In any way, shape, or form support this activity. Jay, don't feed this guy.
Okay, Jalen, if you can't support the activity, I hope you can support my fourth child when it comes out, because I'll be hitting you up in about 19 years with a college bill. Okay, and they're definitely going to Harvard.
That's facts right there. My wife's always talking about me doing it down the line.
Jay Will, my brother, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate watching you during this entire tournament challenge marathon. And Jalen Rose, when we come back, will tell us one of the stories from the Fab Five that doesn't get a lot of shine that may involve the police. That's next on Jalen and Jacoby.
Jacoby, ice up, baby, ice up.